I'm Jeremy Gene Wilson with the Light Army, and I come on here every 6 days to share with you the cosmic astrological shifts in our neutrino weather that affect the way you think, the way you feel, how you interact with others, how others feel, so that rather than be confusing or create conflict in your life, it's something you can use to your advantage, right? A tactic known as a tactic blown. So the theme for this next 6 days, April 10th through the 15th, is about sustained growth. It's about sustained expansion. So this cycle, the mental and emotional forecast and what you can expect is just like, we're shifting out of this activation into more of an expansion energy that requires consistency, focus, devotion. So you're going to see you might feel like a desire to just grow, to scale, to build something meaningful. And so there's this pressure to maintain momentum, but this resistance, wanting to build, wanting to scale, wanting to grow. So create a little shiny object syndrome if you don't just focus on what's working and scale that, and you go and try and build something brand new. So, you're going to have just more awareness of where you start strong in things and how you build momentum, but don't sustain. So you're going to have more awareness of all your open loops, unfinished projects, that kind of thing. And your mind's going to want to focus on growth instead of where you're stuck. So you might feel a little fear of losing progress or missing the timing. You might have a little FOMO. So this is a compounding energy though, like expansion is available, but sustainability, like focusing on what will actually scale, determines whether it lasts or not. So this next week's really about expansion. It rewards consistency, right? Momentum really and motivation rewards discipline. So the sun has moved into the 42nd signature. It's called gate 42 in human design. It's all about growth. It's the gate of completion. It's called the gate of expansion in human design. We're on the I Ching. We call it increase. And the way this can show up in a distorted or a fragmented way is just, starting things without finishing things, having that energetic drive to start, but then stopping before you've reached the finish line. So it's like scattered expansion. If you're trying to grow in every area, you don't grow in any, right? So it's a problem if you're chasing growth without structure and architecture and habits and actions that you can consistently execute on even when you don't feel like it. So the way to align with this energy is really just steady expansion, simple success swinging singles. What can you do as a minimum effort every single day to create a standard around the areas you want to grow and improve? So, the biggest way is just look at what's already working and scale what already works. A lot of people start and stop, whether it's meal plans, marketing plans, parenting, all of it, and look for a brand new plan instead of evaluating what's working really well and doing more of that first before reinventing the wheel. The earth has moved into gate 32. Signature, the 32nd signature. Gate 32 is all about continuity, endurance. We call it the gate of preservation in the I Ching. We call it duration. So the way this can show up in a distorted way is just like fear of failure. Getting paralysis by analysis, trying to find the best plan to avoid worst case scenarios from your fear that creates inconsistency. And abandoning your long-term paths. That's the biggest way this can affect you. So alignment is getting clear on the actions and habits that that you can dedicate yourself to with endurance and being a more long-term thinker, right? Having more delayed gratification and really just measuring sustained progress through discipline. That movie or that book, Atomic Habits by It's right here. James Clear wrote this book, Atomic Habits, and he teaches the concept of 1%. Right? If you improve 1%, you might not even notice it. You'd only be able to notice on paper. But if you improve 1% every single day, you have a 365% improvement in a year, and that's really more sustainable than trying to jump up to a 20%, a 50% L curve growth. What is more sustainable is small. So anyway, the core lesson of gate 32 is just ultimately like what expands And what lasts, what sustains is built with consistency. It's that simple. So just this next week, just avoid starting new things without finishing the old ones, expanding without structure and reverse engineering what's going to actually take on a day-to-day, minute-to-minute, hour-by-hour basis. Having an inconsistent execution because you're trying to get your plan right. What can you do every single day or in a cadence and a rhythm well enough to create progress, right? It's the law of 212 degrees. You can put the water in the pot, you can put it on the stove, you can put all the ingredients in it, but if you don't leave it on the stove long enough to hit 212 degrees, not 211.999, 212 degrees, the water never boils. So whether we're talking about soup, we're talking about tea, or we're talking about anything else, the same is true. You have to have a consistent application of action and be moving something forward long enough for it to create a real result and compound your efforts into something worthwhile. So, definitely don't overextend yourself too quickly this next few days or let fear interrupt the progress where you're already building momentum, and just like complete existing growth cycles, close any open loops, finish any projects you have hanging, scale what's already working, what you know is working, where you're already providing value, where you're getting a result, and then just reinforce the discipline and systems around that. Play with more long-term positioning if it's in business. Allow yourself to think more long-term right now. Just build sustainable expansion. This one's super easy. But, just close one open loop before adding another this next few days. You don't have to reorganize your whole life. Just what's that one open loop, that one thing you're hanging on to, that one relationship that's just, there's too much ambiguity there you can close, or a project or some commitments you made you need to just close out, right? Lock in one non-negotiable every single day. What's one action if you took every day would serve as a domino to create the most progress? In most cases, it's usually the things you can do for your personal power, your morning routine, your day, to show up with more energy so that you perform at a higher level on everything else you do. So think about one daily non-negotiable action that you can commit to. Track growth in that area, or a key metric. What's an area you could track growth so you know whether you're improving 1% at a time or not? And strengthen a system, like one system that supports scale, right? And just what can you do to reinforce more of your long-term decisions you've already made? A couple questions to be with this week. I would ask myself internally, like, just where am I choosing short-term excitement and enthusiasm for long-term expansion, right? In the outer world, what is already working that deserves your deeper investment? What's working just deserves you to be a little bit more all in on it, right? And yeah, so this next few days, it really is about sustained expansion. As soon as you have the habits in place that allow you to have that 1% improvement, we have trajectories. In business, we call those projections. And as long as we measure against those projections, we can course correct, calibrate, and effectively predict where we're going to be in the future. It's like a crystal ball. So know that one of the most important parts of this next few days is, the mind naturally focuses on what's not working, and then we try and replace that with something else. So redirect your focus to what is working. When you focus on what's working and you apply more to that, that's where momentum, you get excited, it feels amazing, and it takes a whole lot less effort. So that's the way you create sustainable, predictable expansion and growth. And at the end of the day, 100% trends are your friends. Know whether you're going to hit and achieve your outcomes or not. So Breakthrough Lab this week is going to be a barn burner. If you haven't hopped on the Breakthrough Lab, every single week we host a training Wednesday at noon Pacific, and we oscillate back and forth every week between what's going to help you make more money in the modern world right now, the mindsets, the skills, the strategies, the opportunities, exactly how to make more money, marketing, sales, branding, systems, automations, recruiting, culture. And then every other week we switch between the internal breakthroughs, the identity installations that allow you to sustain that success long term and step into a higher identity, your future self, a greater and more capable version of yourself, more energy, higher self-worth, better relationships, feeling more meaning and purpose. So if you want to be a part of that, we actually opened a school community to house all the archives and additional pop-up trainings we're hosting, and we are going to put a price tag on that once it hits 100 members. So if you want to know more about that, DM me on Instagram or whoever shared this with you, and we'll get you set up. If you want to join the Light Army trainings, you can go to lightarmy.com/lab, LAB, and get registered for those. In the meantime, remember what you are not. You are the light. Infinite love. Shine on. Bye for now.